Welcome, Björn, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the Night Flight Orchestra and this new upcoming album, Give Us the Moon, and obviously more things related to the metal world in general. So we are starting by asking, how are you doing today? How is the band during the last couple of years? Because your previous album, Aromantic 2, was released in 2021, and now we have this new album.
Yeah, no, I'm doing great. Really busy times, a lot of interviews for the new album, and yeah, it's really great. A lot of positive response, and the band is very excited. Obviously, we're also going on tour soon to promote this album in the end of January. And with this album, we needed to take our time. We've been super productive and been, it feels at least that we've been, releasing an album just about every year, and obviously with the passing of our guitarist David Anderson as well, we needed time to grieve and to be able to, regroup and find the joy in the music again and turn it into something comforting and empowering again, so we need to take our time, and I think it was a good recipe for this album. We had to dig really, really deep, and take sort of David's tradition with us as well. He was a very unique songwriter, and take that with us and sort of build a new era for the band somehow, and we had to dig extremely deep, and I don't think I worked harder on an album ever. This was it was a big challenge, but also so much fun, and so this album has been marinating for quite some time, and it just feels fantastic to be able to release this album and share it with the world. It's a very important album for us, and very special in many ways.
Amazing, amazing. Oh,
Mm,
okay.
mm.
Well, yeah, we all know about the pass away from David from this
Yeah, yeah.
for this situation. And also, for this related with this new album, when do you writing songs for this new album? And are the songs new, or perhaps by any case, do you rescue any composition that were out for the previous albums?
Well, I would say 90% of this is all new. I feel like we had some songs in the vault, and but I think it was really crucial for us to start from scratch again, after everything that happened, and so we made it into a challenge and an experiment to start from scratch. The only sort of old song that's on the album is actually a composition from David that we wanted to include, and that's like the beating of a heart. It was a song that was actually meant for a different project that me and him were going to start a couple of years back, but it didn't really happen. And then we forgot about the song. And then after his passing, I remember the song and I felt like, wow, that song is just too good, and I talked to his family, spoke with his ex-wife and daughters, and they thought it was a good idea for the Night Flight Orchestra to pick it up and make our interpretation of it, and it became a little bit of a tribute to him as well. But that's pretty much the only old song, that's on the album.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Now, well, the previous one, I Romantic Dude, was released during difficult times, the pandemic. Now, how do
Yeah,
you, oh, well, at the second day of the second year of the pandemic. So, how do you
yeah.
feel about this new release compared to your previous one, which came out during the difficult time due to the pandemic?
Well, I mean, when we released Aromantic 1, I mean, we were in a momentum, and we had a tour, a full European tour, and we went out there, things were great. And after 1 week, we had to go home, they got cut short. So it was a big anticlimax, and which I'm sure other bands can relate to that were out at the time. And then we decided to kill the boredom and go into the studio again and write another album that became Aromantic 2, and that was released when things started to open up again, but it was still very hard to book a full tour because of the competition out there. Everyone was going out there and things had not really returned to normal again. So we could only do select shows here or there. We could do some festivals, but not really a full tour. So that's why this album is coming out at the time when people really need something encouraging, and they need something positive, and so I really feel that we're on a mission with this album. It's a very comforting album, and I get, full of escapism as well. And hopefully we will be, able to go out there and provide something really special that people can forget about the troubles for a while, and how the world is looking at right now. And also that this new album will be a soundtrack to that, where people can dream away for a bit, and be therapeutic in that sense, I guess.
Okay, and one thing that you said
Yeah.
about this new album, it was the harder one because well, because you need to find a new guitarist, create a new album, create a new sensation
Mm,
because there's a different way to compose because you return with a different guitars at the time of the
mm.
composition. So and with this aspect, also, a lot of bands think that the last effort is the last best work to date. So with this kind of effort that you do in this album, so what makes
Mm.
this album special to you? And if we could we consider that this new album is your best work to date?
I mean, I feel that it has something really special. It's always hard to say this is the best album we've ever made. It's too early to say that, but it feels very special, and we worked so incredibly hard at it. And I feel that the melodies are more focused than ever. And the album I'm really proud of, because it's really diverse. It really takes you on a journey, and it's and I think it has even more of a personal sound than before. I think we've really put a mark uh with this new album, and sort of really found our sound, and I think people will definitely be able to recognize us. But overall, I think it's our most cinematic and dreamy album so far, and that's an important ingredient for this band. But I really feel
Mhm.
like we managed to write something very diverse, but I mean, it's very long. It's 13 songs, but it really makes sense, and it deserves to be listened to all the way through. But yeah, I'm just really proud of how it sits together in a more complete way than ever, I think.
Okay, well,
Mm.
and I understand. Interesting.
Yeah.
So now,
Mm.
when reading all the albums, when reading all the names of the album, like Infernal Affairs, Skyline Whispers, and now this Give Ups the Moon. Obviously, you try to bring back this vibe from the 80s, from the 70s in the music because that's I since the beginning it was the intention to do this. So, but
Yeah.
for me, how do you choose the name of your album? It is something special to do when you put a name on an album, or do you try to combine something in the history with the album, with the music? So what how do you relate all these concepts?
Well, I mean, it needs to have some kind of connection to the feeling that the album sort of generates, and the pictures that it generates when you listen to the music. And with this album, it was sort of like a tap on our own shoulders after everything we've gone through, with the passing of David, and trying to turn this into something empowering again. And we worked so hard, and coming out on the other side, just feeling that we've done everything we possibly could to make the best album, and it was almost like we said to ourselves, like, now give us the moon, because it was sort of like a tap on our own, or a pat on our own shoulders, to say that we did it, we went through this, and we managed to create this together, and that became sort of like the guiding star in that sense, and it became give us the moon, and yeah. I mean, maybe it sounds kind of demanding, but I think it was more of a sort of a pat on the shoulder. Now give us the moon, will you? Because this is real special. It's a
Okay,
special
well,
moment. Mm.
yeah, yeah. Well, if I relate it with
Mm.
the movies from the 80s, give us the moon is like some really a romantic thing because when you talk with a girlfriend, I bring back to the moon, or
Exactly. Give you
it's
the
kind
moon
of
and the stars, and yeah, it's like a pickup line. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay, okay. So now,
Mhm.
until now, how do you feel about the reception of the singles? And obviously, there's right now there's upcoming there is a reviews uploading during before the album releases. So how do you take the reviews? How was the expectation to hear this new album in general in the comments and social media, etc., for you?
Yeah, I mean, we were all really curious to see. I mean, like I mentioned before, we've been living with these songs for such a long time now, and they've been marinating and almost to a point where you can't really hear the difference. You become deaf, after
Mm.
listening to the songs for so long, and when we were going to choose the songs that were going to make it to the album and then picking the singles, we had to try it on friends, close friends that we trust, and also, bouncing with the label a little bit and see what they say in order to find the best songs for the album and also the singles.
Mhm.
Um, but I think now that everyone has heard it, it seems, or at least journalists. I mean, it's going to be released on January 31st. Um, we gotten such great response. People are losing their minds, and it's really great to hear. Of course, we make music for ourselves, something that we want to hear ourselves to begin with, but of course we want to also please our fans and share this emotion and special music with everyone, and that's where the exchange happen, I think, and people really seem to like it. And the singles, almost an impossible task to pick singles. You never know. I would like to think that any of these songs on the album could be singles, but I think we made some pretty good choices, and we have some really cool videos as well. And yeah, people really seem to like it. That's the only thing I can say. We reserved like this much negative criticism, so it's
Mm.
great to hear.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
other detail that you mentioned about now about the singles, as you can see, we are returning to the 50s or 40s when the music spread about at that time with just by singles, because since the 70s or since the 60s the music spread just albums, EPs until
Yeah.
now. But now we're
Yeah.
returning to the old way to spread the music at that moment. So now, what motivates you to create an album when the world now prefers to hear a lot of singles?
I know, and it's tough. You feel like a candle in the wind, really, but for us, we will keep on, creating albums. And this is a really long one. It's 13 songs, and maybe some people would think like, why do you put down that much energy? Because that's how we like it. That's how it's meant to be. That being said, it's also important that we can release singles that can stand on their own feet, so to speak. But if we would come to a situation where we just release singles, I think that would become quite boring after a while. Because the magic of this band is that the journey that you've been taken on, when you listen to a whole album. That's what I feel. I think that there's something really special about that, and
Well,
so I think it would suck if we end up, you know, having to just release singles. And sometimes you feel, when you release a whole album, and you feel like, do people really listen through the whole album? You need to do that, to get the full picture, so of course you get frustrated because you also see the place in on streaming platforms, that it sort of fades away the longer you go into the album, and that's kind of frustrating to see. But I also know that we have a lot of fans that appreciate full-length albums, and that they really also like to buy the physical album and really listen through the whole thing. And so, we're gonna keep carrying that flag of AOR, album oriented rock.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now talking about now a little more about the promotion of this new Give Us the Moon. So what kind of plans do you have for this Give Us the Moon? I saw that you embark in tours. Perhaps you will
Mm.
come for the first time in a full tour here in Latin America, or who knows what
Mm.
kind of plans? Or you already working a new album because you mentioned that these three that songs are for a long time now. There's
Yeah.
expected to want to release it. Perhaps you are already working a new album. Who knows? What kind of plans do you have for the Night Flight Orchestra and this new album?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to take long before we start working on songs again. I mean, it's we like to just write songs whether there's an album planned or not, you know. But I think first and foremost, we really want to be able to tour this album. You know, we want to be able to also come back to Latin America and you know do maybe Australia like we've done before, and also maybe do North America for the first time. So there's a lot of places we want to go, and we our crowd is definitely growing. So I think that will be the focus, but we might to start writing some songs in between the tours. There will be some more tours announced fairly soon as well. But yeah, since we missed out so much, you know, on during COVID for those two albums when it came to touring, I think this is one something we want to make up for with this new one.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
And we are close to in this interview, Bjorn. And one topic, as you can see, now there's a lot of people talking about the AI. So you can see that is now people are mostly the fans, not the bands, because the bands use it, and a well-known band, the fans get mad. But when an unknown band, the fans don't get mad. That's simply that there is the way. Even the
Yeah.
artists try to create the art, so some people don't doesn't have much how much that money to pay an artist. That's why create the art. That's normally for the bands, but the fans get mad
Yeah.
to use this one. So in this situation, what's your point of view about now? The fans are more mad than the bands or the musician that create the music. And because I saw the My Dying Bride, Catatonia use AI in their cover arts and the music and the videos,
Oh.
and nobody get mad. But when Pestilence did that, a lot of people get mad. They said
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
don't
I don't know
know.
why. I don't know why.
I don't know. It
So,
seems like it's when it's mostly with like black metal and death metal, people get really upset when it's like AI
mm,
covers. But in and when it's other types of metal or rock, it seems like people are not really caring that much. I don't know. It's a weird situation that we're in right now. I'm not sure what to say. AI can be uh, a great tool, you know, in many ways, but it very often it takes over, and I've seen it, and you know, when it's very obvious, yeah, it's kind of an insult to real art, you know, and so I mean I guess I'm very old school, but I also realize where things are going, and if people can use it as a great tool, but in order to get inspiration to do their own art, I think there's nothing wrong with it. But when it takes over, you know, it's like a thin line, you know.
mhm,
But I also understand that people, you know, might not have a budget to pay like this, you know, great artist making designing a cover, and then, you know, AI is a very easy tool to use in that sense, you know. So I understand why they do it, and I just wish there was a different way. And
mm,
there used to be, so I mean, there's got to be a way now too as well. I mean, and people are also getting very lazy, I think.
mhm. Okay, yeah,
And
that is
people have the you know the attention span is this much. There's like
yeah.
you have no patience for anything. Everything needs to happen like this, you know.
Mhm,
And so it's a kind of a ugly development
mhm,
in that sense. But
mhm. Oh yeah.
we're all being affected by it, no matter, you know, there's certain things we can't control. So
No, that is correct. That is. Well, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking like you. We don't control that. I don't know why the fans get mad because
yeah,
when I hear for the first time bands from the 90s, I saw that that covers are completely handled by the machines.
yeah.
Most of them. I don't know why the bands now are the people get off of that. Well, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and one of the last questions for this interview, Bjorn, is
Mhm.
one thing that captured my attention in this "Give Us the Moon" is the production of the sound. And
Yeah.
what I mentioned that because this production sounds like organic, with not a
Mm.
lot of volumes, not a lot of edition in the studio. But now,
Mm.
that thing is a common thing. As you can see, a lot of new bands playing perfect, playing the records, the new records, the more than 1,000 records released per month. You can see
Uh,
there are sounds perfect. There's no any kind of mistake in the musicians. So
uh,
the standardization of the sounds is great now. It's not like the
Yeah,
80s or 90s when you find 10 records, and from that 10 records, you saw that it's six records, great, four, not great. That's completely normal because that is
yeah,
some people has more budget and than other people than doesn't.
yeah,
So, but now all bands releasing per weekend sounds great and amazing, great musicians. But
yeah.
I remember when I was in the 80s and the 90s, I feel that I cannot feel that same this organic music will be the best now because the people are more related with that to sounds perfect, to sound technical, to sound stuff, everything's
Uh.
perfect. So now, what's your point of view about now, about the old releases in the world sounds perfect, sounds great, sounds amazing, and none of these records sounds bad.
No, I hear you, and I mean it's kind of like a blessing and a curse that it's so easy to create something that can sound so good. Like there's so many plugins, so many things you can do at home, and you don't really need studios anymore. But then if you want to create something really organic, something real, then that's how we like to do it. Go into a real studio, and of course we work from home as well. We also use modern tools and tricks, of course, but we like to keep it as organic as possible. And a lot of music is it's kind of deceiving because it's when you listen to it, it sounds so big and hard hitting, and it's like bad songwriting hiding behind a really big production, and
Right.
so I find very often that I get blown away from the power, but I don't get blown away by the songwriting. You know what I mean? So it's more like, wow, this is really powerful. But then after a while, it's like, but where's the song? Where's the song? Where's the melody? Where's the arrangement? It's like the volume wars as well. It's so compressed and it's just like a train. There's no dynamics in the
Mm.
sound. And that's where everything is heading. And it's kind of sad to hear, and yeah, I mean, then again, it's like, I'm not 23 and a half anymore. I'm getting up there. I'm 40 plus, and whatever you say, it feels like people are just gonna say, "Oh, whatever, old man, you don't know what you're talking about." But I think I know what I'm talking about because I've been in the music scene since I was 14 years old,
Mm.
and but people are getting way too used to perfected music. So it's almost like people, and you hear all these fantastic singers that are amazing, and then there's some kind of producer coming in there to auto-tune every single note, and it's so badly done. And people, normal people who are not into to that are non-musicians, they don't realize that, so their ears are getting used to that. And then as soon as something organic that is not fixed, that is like the real deal, they feel like, oh, there's something that's not right about this, there's something that sounds weird. It's like they I don't know, it's kind of sad. It's a sad development in that sense. And because I mean there's so many amazing artists out there that you don't need to perfect
Mm.
you know
Okay, then yeah, that is completely
yeah.
true. And
Yeah, but it drives
well,
me it drives me nuts to see some of these TV shows where it's like obvious that they fixed everything, but the normal person on the street, they can't tell.
yep, that that is completely right on
Yeah,
this. Well, Bjorn, we arrived to the
yeah.
sad moment of this interview. I hope you
Mhm.
enjoyed this one like me. Dear, this
I
this new
did.
album give us the most a great one. Congratulations on it.
Thank
It
you.
perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans that expect someday another full tour with solid work, with a flight, the night flight orchestra, and more things, and
Mm.
obviously Metaleno followers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being such loyal fans, and I want to thank everyone that came to the shows that we did in Latin America. Last year. We had a fantastic time. It was a beautiful time. And please listen to this new album, pick it up, show it to your friends. And we're going to work really hard at coming back to do another full Latin American tour. So thank you so much.